This is the EVP Podcast.
Yes, it is true. You are listening to the EVP Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Beaker.
I am one of your other hosts, Ghosty.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
So we had an episode last week. We talked about stuff. It was great.
Yeah, we did. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
I remember. I was there.
The hell did we talk? Oh, Mount Shasta.
Mount Shasta, baby.
We had a lot of people. By a lot, I mean like 2 people that reached out to us because they were excited for this episode and they couldn't wait to listen. Nicole.
Mount Shasta.
Some people had reached out and actually said they'd been there and it was kind of creepy when they went. So it's definitely on our list of places we want to go after we get our yacht.
Yeah,
So
you didn't even know how crazy it was there, huh?
No, I didn't. So once we get our yacht or our flying scooter or whatever we're getting, we can travel to Mount Shasta
And do
and check it out. But this week, first off, I want to say something.
Say it.
Have you seen the new documentary on Netflix about the Zodiac Killer?
I was going to watch that, but I did watch something. There was something about it that I did watch, and then there's more that just came out that I do want to watch.
So it was a 3-part series on Netflix called This is the Zodiac Speaking, which I thought was funny when I found out that there was a 2007 documentary also called This is the Zodiac Speaking.
So I did watch that. I think that's the one I did watch. And then there was something else that came out. Was it a reenactment show or something?
I'm not sure. Netflix has this habit of they'll put out a documentary and then a series.
Yeah, they just did it with the Melendez brothers.
The
Menendez.
Eric and Lyle Menendez.
Yeah.
I thought it was very interesting because it's focused around a family that was actually really close with Arthur Lee Allen.
So do you think he was, do you think?
Honestly, so here's the thing. Based on this and what they're saying, it's very, very possible. I mean, this dude was like the main suspect throughout the entire investigation. Have you ever seen Zodiac in 2007 with Robert Downey Jr. and Jake Gyllenhaal and Mark Ruffalo? Like even in that movie, they had Carrie, what was his name? John Kerry Lynch.
I can't remember his full name.
The big dude that played Twisty the Clown in American Horror Story.
Yeah.
John Carroll Lynch.
Is that okay?
I think that's what it is. He played this Arthur Lee Allen guy.
He's scary.
And he did a really damn good job at it. Like they in the documentary. So this is the family that Mr. Allen was their teacher. They called him Mr. Allen. And he did some really shady shit to these kids when they were younger.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of that. I did watch that documentary. That was weird.
So, I mean, I think it's definitely worth the watch. The one I'm working on right now is a little bit older one from like 2018 that's on Peacock, or as Brandy and I call it, Peacock. It's called The Myth of the Zodiac. I'm only a little bit into the first episode, and this one's very interesting because there's a reporter on this one that's talking about how the Zodiac Killer isn't an actual real person, that all the murders that took place were actually done by several different people that weren't related in any way, shape, or form. And it was just some guy that like took advantage of the situation and started writing letters to the police claiming to be the Zodiac Killer. And that there was no actual Zodiac Killer. It was just some hoax. Like, not the murders actually happened, right?
Right,
obviously.
Right.
But the guy claiming to be the Zodiac Killer.
They weren't connected in any way.
They weren't. So that's what this dude's claim is. And I'm still watching it because this is like a 2-part series.
No, but I think the way that the murders happened were all very similar to where it would make sense that it was the same person doing it.
They were. This is just this guy's theory. And one of the theories he had is...
I just blew it up. Sorry.
Like, well, so here's the thing. In the first episode, in the first murders, the 2 kids were parked off the road a little bit. And this dude is claiming that there was 2 people at the first murder scene and not just one, because they found one of the bullet shell casings about 20 feet away from the teenager's car, right? And what his claim is that, I mean, they said the witnesses saw that there was 2 cars parked there that night. And so what he's saying is there had to have been a second person because the bullet shell, the casing would have been on the passenger side of the car, had the car pulled in forward. So, which leads him to believe that there was a second person in the passenger seat that got out and fired the first shot. Because he says it makes no sense for the guy to get out of the car, walk around to the other side of the car, and then start shooting.
I'm like,
this.
leaned over out the window.
No. So his driver's side was to their passenger side, right? They're parked side by side.
Oh, okay.
So in order for the first shot to take place where that casing was found, someone would have had a shot from the passenger side of the car.
Gotcha.
Had they pulled in forward. They never said, or at least from what I understood, they never said whether the car was parked forward or backwards. So if the guy reversed in, he would have been on that side of the car. So that, me right there, just thinking, I'm like, that kind of pokes a hole in your theory a little bit. But it is very interesting, and I want to finish watching this soon because, like I said, this whole series on Netflix is called The Myth of the Zodiac, and the guy's talking about how the whole thing was a hoax. Not the murders, but the Zodiac killer himself wasn't a real person.
He was just writing shit in just to be a dick.
I've always been fascinated by the Zodiac killer. So when I saw this documentary on Netflix, I was excited to watch it, and I just binged it. And it was, I thought it was really interesting.
It was. Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those cases that's never been proven. They never found out who it was. And
so much time has gone by. Everybody that's been tied to it's dead.
Yeah, right? So this is just so much more stuff that's come out from these people that grew up with the prime suspect of the Zodiac killings, that it's just, they provide some sort of compelling evidence. But I also understand Netflix has a way of spinning things to fit their agenda.
They just, give you insight in what these people experienced, right, and then you just kind of gather your thoughts and you make it up. You make it your own. I
definitely feel it's worth a watch, and I would love for y'all to watch it and email us at evp.pod@gmail.com, evp.pod@gmail.com, and tell us what you think of that documentary if you've watched it.
Was Beaker the Zodiac killer?
And I want to do a whole episode on the Zodiac killer. Like, I want to start getting into serial killers at some point in time, because I know people love listening to true crime, as well as paranormal stuff. So I think coming up for next year, we'll expand a little bit into the serial killer realm, because that's something in the 3-4 years we've been doing this, we haven't touched on yet.
Yeah, so next year,
maybe end of this year, serial killers, maybe end of this year. Next week, we've got another exciting episode and a special guest
finally
with us. And right after we finish recording this episode, I'm running straight to a residential, so I might have some stories on a ghost hunt next week.
Yeah, I want to hear all about this.
So, without wasting too much more time, let's get into our topic this week.
All right.
We are traveling a little bit south of California.
Into the radio world.
We are traveling into the radio, but also south of California, where we were last week. We're going to Mexico.
All right. Arriba.
Okay, sure. So this episode is about a radio show that went from 1995 to about 2018. Okay, so this show lasted quite a while. Now, it's called... I might pronounce this incorrectly, and I apologize beforehand. There are some Spanish words I'm probably going to mispronounce, but I will do my best. So the name of this radio show is called Mano Peluda, which translated to English means the hairy hand. So, and maybe we can do an episode on what Mano Peluda actually is besides the radio show. When I was doing research for this, I did find it was kind of like a cryptid or something. I think our friend Nicole, the Queen of Cryptids, would probably know a little bit better than me. But I do want to look more into what the hairy hand actually is, or what the story behind that is. But this podcast was named after that, obviously. So it's called the Mano Peluda. And this particular episode is going to talk about one particular case or phone call that happened on this radio show, this span of math is hard, 1995 to 2018. So 30 years.
Okay.
Was it 20 years? 30 years, something like that. Anyways, math.
20-something years.
20, it was 22 years.
Yeah.
That the show was on the air. So it was in Mexico. So the show, if you can find, I think there are some of the episodes on Apple Podcasts or online. You can find them. They are in Spanish. So if you speak Spanish, go ahead and go give that show a listen, even though it's no longer, a thing. But so the whole point of the show is kind of like if you've ever listened to Jim Harold's Campfire, People call in and share their paranormal stories. So this was the whole point of this show. And this would air from 10 p.m. till midnight, Monday to Friday, for 22 years. So the original host of the show was a man named Juan Ramon Saenz.
Something like that.
I'm probably saying his last name incorrectly, and that's the only time I'm going to say it, because Juan is really easy to say, and that's how I'm going to refer to him from now on.
That makes sense.
The host of the show was named Juan.
Yeah.
Now, he was a very well-known broadcaster down there in Mexico, and this show was huge, the La Mano Peluda. Now, like I said, in the show, people would call in and they would share their experiences or paranormal stories. Juan was known really well for his respect that he treated his callers with. And he didn't make fun of his callers, and he treated each of these callers as it was like a legit paranormal case. Like we do when we go to someone's house, right? So he was very respectful to all of his callers. And because he did this, it allowed him to be very objective while at the same time he would collaborate with his callers to kind of bring these stories to light, right? There was many times he actually helped people who were going through very difficult situations because of the paranormal experiences that they were having, right? And in some cases, he also offered to follow up the story with an investigation. So if it was bad enough and he thought it was legit enough, like he would send a team or he would go out himself to check this out. Now, on the show, it was him. Juan was the main host. He also had like a pastor or preacher there with him during the show. And I guess one of the segments they had as part of the show was like Bible reading. They'd read like a passage from the Bible. Okay. So he was the main host of the show for about 14 years before he ended up retiring because he was diagnosed with cancer. On May 29th, 2011, Juan ended up dying at the age of 48 because of some random respiratory arrest caused by this very mysterious like gastrointestinal bacteria. Like, they don't know where it came from or kind of why it happened. Like he just got this bacteria, and passed away. Now his fans, they called themselves the Peludo or the hairy hand maniacs, right? Mm-hmm. And they have this theory that because of this one phone call, this case that we're going to be talking about, it is the actual reason why he passed away, and it wasn't because of this bacteria. This is how bad and like messed up this case is.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, like this is not like some kind of bullshit fictitious story. Like this dude called into a show and this is what the guy roughly said. I was basically listening to another show I found on YouTube where the guy was kind of paraphrasing the call. He actually played clips of the phone call and he was just translating what it said because I
no speak of Spanish.
I don't speak the Spanish. I don't speak no habla español. So I had to just kind of take his word for it. But a lot of the stuff he said, I did find on other websites and stuff like that. So a lot of the information is very legit, or at least consistent with what I found on several other websites that posted this story. Okay. So this happened. It was the most terrifying story that people said they heard on the show. There was a guy that called in. And they call this case the El Case de Josue, or the case of Josue.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Now in 2001 is when this took place. This phone call took place. There was a guy from California that called in there to the show in Mexico, and he identified himself as Josue Vela. All right. So at the beginning of the call, Josue is very friendly and he was very attentive. And he congratulated Juan on the success of his show and how well it was doing, right? Now, Josue then starts kind of revealing and talking about what has been going on in his life and the reason why he called. And explained, and then the story, like I said, has become the most famous and terrifying in this show's history. With all of the 22 years of people calling in, this is the case that stands out the most to people. But not only that, people quickly became very concerned when hearing Josue's story, and they were very worried about his well-being. And after this phone call, a series of inexplicable events followed that still have no explanation to this day.
Because of this damn call.
Because of this one damn call. So, let's get to know a little bit about Josue and why he called.
All right. So, Josue His story began when he was 14 years old, and his family suffered severe economic crisis, losing everything. So when Josue was about 16, they were they lost everything. So they were in ruins. And in desperation, they crossed the border from Mexico into the U.S. They ended up settling in California and hoping for a better life. The American dream.
Yep.
And
very common.
Yeah, that's the norm.
I mean, I've heard about it my entire life. People coming from Mexico to the U.S. looking for a better life.
Right. Like
I mean, it still happens to this day.
So, despite working multiple jobs, Josue's family continued to face financial problems. He became desperate to improve their situation and stumbled upon a book of black magic and witchcraft also. So
we're off to a good start.
So obsessed with the book, Josue sought knowledge of spells and rituals to gain wealth. He found a section in the book titled "How to Communicate with Satan."
That's a great section.
Yeah, like that's a good one to stop on.
If I saw that, I'd be like, you know what? That sounds good.
That's a good one.
Let's
right there.
do that.
Yeah. Wealth. Oh, Satan.
Satan can bring me wealth.
So he would end up praying daily and ask for a sign that his prayers were being heard. He said that the first time he saw a demon was when he cut his veins during one of his prayers. Because that's what you do when you pray. You cut your veins.
Right? Well, when you're praying to Satan, I guess that's what you do. And I mean, it might have been in that book. That might have been one of the instructions.
Yeah. So a demon ended up appearing to him, but it didn't look like what he imagined a demon would look like. So to him, it had the appearance of a very thin black person.
So when I heard this or when I read this, what I pictured was like a shadow person.
That's what when I heard about it too, that's kind of what I pictured in my head.
So that's kind of what I'm going to go with is I think he saw something very similar to a shadow person.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, just like but maybe with features. I think maybe.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe just like a really shadowy person, but with, features.
Okay.
And then it began to follow him and, it was just following him ever since that time. And the demon ended up teaching Josue how to bewitch people and how to induce ill will on them. And all he had to do was say the demon's name and the demon would appear. And after numerous failed attempts to obtain wealth and power, Josue decided to obtain a more potent ritual.
He wanted to attempt a more potent ritual. He's like, okay, this isn't working. I found this other ritual, most likely in the same book.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to try this one instead because this one's not working.
Shortcuts.
This demon's not working out for me. Let's find a new one.
And so after, let's see what.
So this demon demanded.
Oh, yeah. So he ended up demanding that he involved 6 more people to do the ritual and that they had to sacrifice a goat as an offering.
Which they did.
Of course, because 6 people, that's easy to find people to sacrifice a goat. Everyone does that. So Josue's life became consumed by these demonic rituals, leading him to perform more sinister deeds, such as being asked to bring a newborn baby for another ceremony.
Yeah, this demon that he was talking to was like, I want a newborn.
And he didn't want to, he wanted to do it, but also, he kind of had some moral backing to him. So he considered doing this, but then he ended up feeling tormented and realized that his pact with the demon wasn't really, he wasn't getting what he wanted out of it.
Right. He's like, the goat thing didn't work.
Yeah, you just told me more to do more shit, and this doesn't sound like a good idea. You just want
me to do all this bad stuff. You're not really doing anything for me, so why should I do this?
Right, and there's prison time involved now.
Right. Why should I kill this baby? You're not doing your thing. So I think this is when he's like, you know what? I want a new demon.
And a new book, apparently. So he ended up finding another book. And he would do the invocations in this book in his living room from about 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Because
that's a great time to do it.
Yeah, that's when you do it. After this session, he was tired and decided to go to bed. And before he was able to go, a pig appeared and walking on its hind legs and began attacking his mom.
Yeah, that's something you see every day.
And so did he have pigs in the backyard? Was this something he already had? Or this just
in
came out of
California,
nowhere?
Probably not. I think it just came out of nowhere. This bipedal pig.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have those just laying around in your backyard.
They usually ride bikes too, I think. So
that's not what bipedal means.
Josue began calling to the pig in an attempt to draw it away from his mom. And at this point, the pig demanded that Josue follow him, which he did not. The pig's walking on 2 feet, and he's also, hey, come with me.
The thing is he actually did follow this pig. He followed it.
Okay.
He followed this pig demon thing into a well-known cave in the area nearby, right? And when he got there, this demon started to shape shift into all sorts of different forms. It went from the pig to a man to a woman, and it just kept shifting into all kinds of forms, right? This thing kept him in the cave for a total of 21 days.
The hell?
Yeah.
Kept him in the cave?
Well, so it took him to the cave. He stayed there 21 days. And during these 21 days, like, he kind of wanted to leave, but he also felt like he wasn't supposed to. He felt like this demon or demons, possibly at this point, were trying to make something for him, or they were getting something ready for him, right? And he was worried that if he left, he wouldn't get whatever reward or item or whatever they were doing, whatever they were making for him. He was afraid that if he'd left, he wouldn't get it. So he stuck around for 21 days.
Did nobody ask him what happened? What was his family doing during these 21 days?
I have no idea.
There's a hole in this story.
There is, right there.
Because, I mean, 21 days, that's 3 weeks. There would be, like, search parties. There would be, like... And if this was a well-known cave, then... And if it was nearby, like, that would be the first place that they would go.
I have no idea. This is what he said on the call.
Okay, I wish they would have elaborated.
Well, and the thing is, yeah, I wish they would have too. The thing is like... Well, they did play, I think they played this part of the call on the show that I was listening to. And like I said, unfortunately, I don't understand Spanish, so I don't know if that's what he actually said. I'm just going off of the person that translated the phone call. Right. So apparently he was there for 21 days, didn't want to leave because he was afraid he wasn't going to get whatever these demons were making for him. Now, after the 21 days were up, they presented him with this ring, which Josue ended up calling the Ring of King Solomon. So these demons somehow got a ring from King Solomon, and they're like, here you go. Now, before...
They got it from Mordor.
They probably did. We got to take it to the fiery pits and throw it into the fire. So they're like, here's this ring, but here's the deal. You can't have it yet. Here's what you got to do before you can get the ring, okay? You need to sacrifice a member of your family.
Some skinwalker shit.
Right? So good old Josue is like, you know what, Grandma? Your time has come.
Yeah, she's lived long enough.
You've lived long enough. I think I'm going to go ahead and sacrifice you. You've lived a full life.
Yeah.
So he started kind of putting his grandma to sleep and I think he ended up killing her using formaldehyde, and he was reciting these like prayers. Okay. Now, once he completed the sacrifice, they gave him the ring, and they told him that another demon would start following him and grant him wishes. Okay. He says he ends up later regretting this decision, and he felt responsible for her death. And it's like, well, yeah.
Well, yeah, you did do that.
Of course you're responsible. You sacrificed it, or your grandma, to a demon. Like, you were feeding her formaldehyde, right? So, like I said, after he completed the sacrifice, the demon told him, okay, it's done. And your prayers have been heard. We've been hearing you. And you have been accomplished. And they presented him with the ring. Now, soon after sacrificing his grandmother, more beings appeared, more demons or entities or whatever, started showing up after his grandma passed away, and they started making fun of him and laughing at him.
Because he was feeling like remorse, and he was like regretting what he had done. So now they're like, oh, look at you, you big bitch, and your grandma's dead.
Right?
You feel like shit, and your grandma's dead? Who's the big loser? Big dummy.
Pretty much.
Who doesn't get their wishes answered? You.
Well, that's the weird thing is his wish sort of did get answered. Now, during the call, he went on to say that he didn't feel comfortable with the gifts that he started getting after this as his mind began to open up. One of the things that happened with him is in just a matter of 6 months, he became a parasitologist/bacteriologist analyst, which, like I said, he did this in 6 months. This is something that normally takes like 8 years of schooling to do.
Yeah, but I mean, did he already have some schooling done and then just like completed it?
I doubt it, because at the time he said he obtained this degree or whatever, he was only 20 years old. So if he had some beforehand, he would have had to start when he was like 12 years old before his problem started happening.
Some shady person's like, hey, you want some degrees?
6 months. It's like I'm not gonna, never mind. They're gonna poke fun at some people. I probably should. Okay, so Juan then asked Josue, well, if he got the money that he was looking for, like if he got the wealth and riches that he was looking for to like help his family out, and Josue's response was, well, it's kind of complicated. Holy hell. And he was not allowed to have a lot of money. Do you want to tell us why that is?
Well,
or what happened with him? Like why? So he kind of did get the money, but there was kind of a caveat to it.
Where are we on here? Because I ended up getting all over the place.
You were almost there. You're just a little farther up.
Okay. All right. So then he was given $15,000. And then
a day. $15,000 a day.
So he was given $15,000 a day that he had to spend before the end of the day. And if he failed to do so, he would wake up the next day with nothing and would have to commit more evil acts in order to retrieve what he had lost. Josue said it was tormenting to receive such a large amount of money each day and having to spend it all. In order to do so, he would go to a local jewelry store and purchase things for well above the asking price. For example, he would buy items that were priced at $5,000, and he would pay the store double the asking price, and he wasn't allowed to destroy the money in any way or give it away to anyone that was in need. If the money was used for the intention of helping others, then bad things would happen. I could spend $15,000 a day easily.
Well, yeah, I mean, now we could, but at 20 years old in 2001, well, actually, that's when he made the phone call. It was in 2001, so it was probably well before this. Like, he was probably still a teenager, or at least he was 20 years old when his wish was granted and he started getting $15,000 a day. Honestly, like at 20 years old, I might have been able to spend 15 grand a day, but like you kind of run out of stuff to buy. You can't save it either.
Yeah, you can't save it, but then
you can't save it. You can't give it away. You can't burn it. You can't bury it. Like, you got $15,000 a day that you have to spend.
I could do that easily.
Well, I'm sure we could now in our 40s as adults. Yeah, I can go buy a bunch of used cars every day, and then I would have a stockpile of cars. Or it's like eventually you're gonna run out of room from buying shit. You know what I mean? Like, you can't buy a house at $15,000. You can just sign up new leases, I guess, on apartments and be like, here's $15,000. Like, think of it, it's probably a lot harder than you think.
I could go around paying people's tabs. It's not helping them.
It is helping them.
It's encouraging them to drink more.
Yeah, but you're paying their tabs. That can be considered a helpful act.
No, not if you're doing it with evil intentions.
Demons are tricky, and you know this.
I'm trickier.
You think you're going to trick a demon?
Uh-huh.
Good luck.
Yeah, all day.
Honestly, like, I want to say I could probably spend $15,000 a day. But, see, here's another hole in the story. Because if I go buy a piece of jewelry for like $5,000, and I'm like, here's $10,000 for it instead, am I not then helping the shop owner?
You sure are. And why aren't you just getting double jewelry? Like, buy two.
Right.
Keep it for yourself and just be greedy. Like,
I don't know. Let's continue.
The
story.
So Josue went on to mention that one day while he was trying to spend the money, he decided to talk with a man that he had met. The man told Josue that about the problems he was having in his life, and Josue felt compelled to help the man. When he arrived home, a woman he had never seen before was waiting for him, and she began attacking him. Josue mentioned that the woman was still with him at the time of the call, and he described the woman as being thin, pale, and she didn't have feet. And when she attacks him, she tries to choke him while repeatedly yelling, "What's happening to you?" and "You never understand." It's at this point during the call he says that the woman moves to sit in front of him.
Yeah.
So he's seeing this demon woman. It's not like an actual woman.
Well, no, it's not an actual woman, because how many floating people
no feet
with no feet have you met? So at this point, he's got at least 3 demons with him.
So, and this
If
is
not
happening.
more.
And this is happening while he's on the call.
While he's on the call, yeah, he says this woman sits in front of him.
And then noises could be heard coming from his end of the phone call. So while the radio host is talking to him, the radio host and all the listeners are hearing weird noises coming from that dude.
Yeah.
And when asked about the noise, he mentioned that he didn't find them to be scary. What did scare him was what the woman had on her hand. And on her hand was the mark of an inverted cross with an eye. He was told that when he saw the mark on her hand, he was going to die. While he was explaining that this woman had shown him the cross that was on her hand.
So while he's telling the host, while he's telling the story, he's like, this is what happens. Like, if I see this mark on this woman's hand, I'm going to die, right? So while he's saying that, the woman's like, here you go. Here's the mark.
So who was saying that he was going to see this mark?
Probably one of the demons.
Okay.
Maybe her. Like, from what I understand, that he was told that if he saw this mark on this woman's hand, he was going to die. And she showed it to him while he was making this phone call.
So then Josue tells Juan that he had been trying to get help for years to get rid of these demons. And unfortunately, so far, no one has been able to do so. He then turned the conversation toward the ring on his finger.
So he's still got this ring that he's calling the Ring of King Solomon.
And he ends up mentioning how the ring fits loosely and he's able to spin it freely around his finger. My precious.
So, like, yeah, this thing is apparently loose enough that he could probably take it off no problem.
But he's not able to remove it. And if he were to try to do so, bad things would happen to him again.
Of course, as they do.
Yeah. And as the interview progressed, it became evident that Josue was still haunted by these demons. And during the broadcast, eerie laughter and physical disturbances plagued the call. So you can hear weird shit.
So did you hear that part of the call? Did you?
Yeah, I hear like rummaging.
I sent you the video. No, so in part of that video that I sent you, he played a part of the phone call, and you can legit hear a woman laughing in the background.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I did hear that. Yes. And so then, he ended up hearing the eerie laughter and then the physical disturbances. And then Josue mentioned that the demons were tormenting him and manifesting in his presence, like as he's talking.
Right. So you can hear it in his voice. Like the parts of the call that I heard, like you can hear he's like legit scared.
That's crazy. And then, so he does have that pastor. And the pastor told Josue to ignore the demons and to start praying. And as they began to pray, they could hear the pain in his voice, the Josue's voice.
Like I said, like you listen to the clips from the show.
You frantic.
Like I could hear it. You could hear the desperation, like the fear in this guy's voice as he's telling this story.
And then so the pastor instructed Josue to repeat after him and began to say, "I belong to Christ."
So I guess they were saying it in Latin or Spanish. I don't know. It was another language, but the guy said it translated to "I belong to Christ."
Yeah, so
which is not an uncommon thing to do.
So they're trying to do like an exorcism through the phone.
Yeah.
And then after the call, Josue seemed to vanish for like 9 years. Nobody had heard from him.
That was like the rest of the call was just like them praying and whatnot. And I think that at that they just kind of ended the call. From what I understand.
Yeah. That's what I heard. And so his whereabouts and well-being remained a mystery until the team from Extra Normal, a television show, decided to investigate his story. And in an interview with the show, Josue...
before, like, he did disappear for 9 years, right? But Juan had actually talked about, when he first got the call, he kind of felt like it was just like any other call when people called in and told their stories, which, nothing really bad happens. It's like someone calls in, here's what's going on in my life. This is the experience that I've had, right? Now, during Josue's story...
It's like a to be continued.
Well, no. So during Josue was telling the story, right? Juan and the people in the room, in the studio, they could feel it getting colder, right? And during the Bible reading session on the show, the pages started to curl on their own, and supposedly even one of the laptops exploded while...
In the studio. Holy shit.
So apparently all of this is something that I heard that Juan, the radio show host, had said that these things had happened. The room got colder, the Bible started curling up on its own, like the pages started curling in, and even one of their laptops exploded. According to Juan, this is stuff that happened.
Damn.
So then Josue disappears for 9 years.
And then that TV show goes and investigates. And in an interview with the show, Josue revealed that he had lived a life of opulence and terror since that call. So he's been scared shitless ever since that call for
Yeah.
9 years. And he carried strange objects such as a bone and animal skins for protection. And before the interview took place, Josue said he would only meet them for the interview if they did so at a lake.
Which is a very odd request, I think.
Very weird.
Hey, we want to do this TV show with you. We want to interview.
We're going to a lake, though.
Yep, we got to do it at a lake.
Because I need to do some fishing. So Juan agreed to this and scheduled the meeting. Juan said that the strange things started happening at his house, like his bed would begin to shake, and he felt wind blowing behind his ears. And so this was happening to the guy that just interviewed him?
Yeah, this happened to Juan, the radio show host.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, when Juan agreed to meet with Josue in person at the lake, shit started happening to Juan.
Okay. And then, so during the interview, Juan complained that his stomach was constantly in pain. And Juan felt that whatever was with Josue was mad that he was trying to help get rid of it.
Yeah, which I've seen before in investigations that we've done.
That is weird. Shocking twist. Several bizarre and tragic events occurred shortly after the interview. The cameraman and the reporter who conducted the interview experienced painful medical issues, and a week later, the radio show's pastor and the host, Ramon, both died under mysterious
I forgot to
circumstances.
change that. It was supposed to be Juan. So the cameraman actually...
Juan Ramon.
So the cameraman, from what I understand, got like a really bad hernia and was hospitalized. The reporter didn't say what happened to them, but they were also hospitalized. And like we established at the start of the show, Juan passed away. And a lot of people feel that this was because of Josue. They think that when he made the call and he saw the mark on that woman's hand during the show that we talked about, right?
Right.
He knew he was going to die. So the theory is, the fans of the show believe that Josue made another deal with these demons saying, I will give you Josue's, or I will give you Juan's life in exchange for my own. So if you let me live, I will give you this guy instead. That's their theory. So that's when Juan got diagnosed with cancer and ended up getting that gastrointestinal bacteria that ended up killing him. So they don't know where the disease came from. There are people that think that Josue was responsible somehow for Juan's death.
But Josue never died. He's still, like, Josue was the one that was supposed to die from seeing that thing, right?
Right. But he made a deal. Take him instead. I will give you this person in my place. So he gets to continue living. Mm-hmm. That's the theory. And meeting at the lake was part of the ritual that he had to conduct.
Oh.
In order, that's why he wanted to meet Juan in person.
Specific for a reason.
Yes. That's the theory. Obviously,
Okay.
There's no way to prove this, but that's what people speculate, is that Josue made a deal with his demons and offered Juan as a sacrifice.
I'm interested more in that ring. What's going to happen with that ring?
I don't know. They don't say. I do know that there was a follow-up interview after all these people had all these weird accidents or medical issues and, these people passed away. Josue, he denied any direct involvement with the deaths, and he claimed that the individual's low energy might have been the cause for why all this stuff was happening to him.
Or there's probably something in that studio, like black mold or something that they're all getting sick from.
The studio. Well, that's the thing is, someone else took over the show from 2010 when Juan retired to 2018, so another 8 years. If it was black mold, you think they would have had problems. No, it was just the show was just canceled. That's why it's not on air anymore. No, Josue stated that he was preparing to remove the demonic ring and break free from the clutches of darkness. That's what he said in the follow-up interview after Juan and all these people passed away. Right. Now, there are a lot of people that are really skeptical of this story, and they think that Josue is actually an actor and was given a script to call in and tell on this show.
I mean, when you're on the radio, you can have people there with you. No one's going to know.
Right? You can adjust the settings and stuff to make it sound like
you
you're
can
calling
play
in.
music of women laughing and
Right.
kick things.
So, a lot of people think that Josue's story is real. There supposedly was a video that came out on TikTok in like 2021 of Josue's cousin claiming that the story is real, that this stuff actually happened. The problem is no one can find this video.
Not only that, but how credible that guy's even his cousin.
Right. Now, I guess there's a famous YouTuber, and again, the dude that mentioned all of this didn't say who it was, but apparently someone tried to debunk all this and they were unable to. And as of right now, I really can't either, but I can't say it was fake. I can't say it was real.
Yeah.
Like, I can't prove it was real. I can't prove it was fake. There are some, it's like you said earlier with him missing for 21 days, like no one looked for him.
Big hole in the story.
Yeah, you're right. Like no one looked for him. Like no one cared that he was gone for 21 days.
Yeah, like
or
they keep hearing maybe do a better life.
Or maybe like demons showed up to his family and they're like, "Hey, keep your mouth shut."
But I mean, yeah, if you're trying to make a better life for your family, like how the hell are you going to spend 3 weeks in a cave?
Right.
Like you're going to go broke. You got bills to pay.
I mean, it seems a little fishy.
Very fishy.
And it seems very coincidental that it took 9 years, or actually, I mean, it wasn't until they met him in person that all the bad stuff started happening to the people on the show, right?
Yeah.
So, is it possible? I mean, maybe. I've heard of curses and stuff like that. I've seen them.
I think it's BS.
I don't know. Either way, the story of Josue Vela,
it's a cool story,
remains one of the most chilling tells in Mexico's paranormal history, despite all of this time that has passed. So we're looking at what he called in 2001. We're 2024, so we're like 23 years now. Obviously, people are still talking about it because we are. The details and mysteries surrounding this case continue to captivate and haunt the minds of those who delve into it.
And the holes in the story are as big as...
Right. So, I mean, it's a very fascinating story. And if true, very scary at the same time. Like, I would not want to be in this situation.
Right. I also wouldn't be picking up any books that you're going to try to talk to the devil with or the Satan with.
But the thing is, like, this is all stuff that this guy said he had done.
Yeah.
Like, there is proof of this phone call so the phone call actually happened.
Right.
Whether or not the stuff that what he said happened to him is true, I have no idea. I mean, I want to say my famous line here. It's within the realm of possibility.
Within the realm.
Within the realm of possibility, but highly unlikely in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it on like TikTok videos. I've seen it in YouTube videos. People get so enthralled in the paranormal that they don't want to look at logic and reasoning sometimes, and they just want to believe everything that they're being
Like it
fed.
sounds spooky. Hell yeah. And I'm over here like 21 days. You crazy.
Right?
Yeah. Like that. I couldn't get past that.
That just seems a little far-fetched that you're missing for 3 weeks.
Yeah. Like, what are you going to eat? Like,
right? He was in a cave. Yeah. What did you eat for 3 weeks? I don't know. I wish I knew Spanish a little bit better so I could go back and listen to this episode and hear what the guy actually said.
Yeah. I'd be questioning too much.
I probably would be too. Because, I mean, it does sound like it's a very fascinating story.
Yeah.
And
but I want details, damn it.
The person that told me about this case was very excited about it, and he's like, "You should do an episode on this." So we did.
Tell me in Spanish, did he ever end up saying anything about the 21 days? Because I can't get past it.
Days. No, I mean, I need to probably look into that a little bit more. So I was just going off of what the guy said in his phone call.
Yeah, because there wasn't a lot on this subject. There was just
No, this one episode on YouTube had more information than a lot of the websites did.
Yeah.
I mean, there was like an hour-long podcast that I didn't listen to, but again, it was kind of in Spanish, so it was not easy for me to listen to because I didn't understand what was being said. So this is the best information I could find so far.
Yeah. So this is all you're getting.
For right now.
For now.
Maybe more later. Probably not. But I kind of want to know what you, the listener, think. If you've heard of this story, I just sounded like another podcast I listen to. You, the listener. I want to know, we want to know.
Yeah, if you've heard about
this.
Like,
if you've heard about this before, what your thoughts on this are. Because right now, we're kind of leaning more towards...
BS.
Yep.
actors and BS.
What they call it? What do the kids call it now? Cap?
Yeah, they're capping us.
This is cap.
Yeah, it's all cap. It's all cap.
We're hip. We're with it. Tucka.
Yeah, we're cool still. We're still cool.
I like to get down and party.
I still party.
Yeah, no, it seems a little far-fetched.
Yeah. I think it's a high on the BS beater.
I kind of agree. I wish I could find, actual evidence of this stuff occurring. It seems a little not possible, but within the realm of possibility, if that makes sense. Like, there are people that out there that do find like these random ass books on witchcraft, or they will like try to summon demons with the Ouija board. Not saying Ouija boards are bad, but it's like the intent behind it.
Right.
There are people that seek things like this. I remember there was a guy that we used to work with at our previous job that straight up told me one night that he sold his soul to Satan in return for other things. And then I was like, okay, then. So,
have fun with that.
Yeah.
Hope you get what you pay for.
It is possible this guy was performing these like rituals and praying to Satan or these demons. Did all this other stuff happen? Like, did he see this pig thing, this shapeshifter? I don't know. Like, it seems
a lot of hubbub.
Yeah, it's a lot to unpack, and it seems very hard to believe.
Yeah, he's probably coming down off some weird shit. Probably was addicted for a while.
But again, if it is real, very, very spooky.
Yeah. Maybe we should ask his mom.
Like, she might be gone.
Oh. Remember that time you got attacked by a pig on 2 legs?
Remember that one time?
Tell us about it.
I want to know more.
Where was your son for 21 days?
But yeah, we want to know what you guys think. Like I said, you can email us at evp.pod@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on our social medias, evp.pod at Instagram and Facebook.
Riz us up. Yeah.
Hit us up. We might respond.
We will respond.
Also, like, hey, on the subject of calling in and tell us scary stories, if you've got some stories that have happened to you recently that you want us to share on the show, or if you just want to share with us in general, shoot us an email. Like I said, put in the subject or somewhere in the email that if it's okay to share on the show or not. Because we do like hearing your guys' stories, and we do respect your privacy. So if you don't want it shared, we won't.
Yeah.
So
real quick, though.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I saw this crazy shit yesterday in the sky.
What did you do? Are you on aliens now?
Well, I don't know what this was.
I don't know either. What did you see?
So, I don't know. I'm taking my dog out to go to the bathroom.
Sounds good.
And I'm like, well, I'm out here. I'm going to look up in the sky and see if I can see anything.
As you do.
Because that's what you do. And
that's what you do. Hey, taking the dog. I don't want to watch the dog take a shit, so I'm going to stare at the sky.
Look at the sky. And I noticed this one bright, looked like, at first you think star, but then it's really bright and it's actually a lot lower. And I'm like, oh, cool. That's like one of the satellites. That's Starlink. Because I've seen those Starlink satellites, and they are a lot lower, and they are a lot brighter. So I'm looking at this thing, and it's not moving. It's staying still. And it's definitely not high up there where the stars are. It's definitely lower.
Well, satellites are definitely lower than the stars.
Exactly. That's why I'm thinking it's a satellite.
And it could be stationary, because satellites...
Are they stationary now?
They're far enough away that it probably looks stationary.
So every time I see satellites, they're moving. Every time.
I don't know. I don't put my heads in the clouds.
Well, I'm
down to earth.
Every time I've seen satellites, they are slow moving, and that's how you can tell it's a satellite. It's in a direct, it's got a path.
Okay, I did not know that because I don't look up.
So I'm looking at this. I'm like, holy shit, this is weird. So I'm kind of looking at it more and more, and I'm thinking, is that a drone of some kind? But I'm not hearing a drone noise. But it also, it's high up, but it's also not that high.
What's a drone noise? Make a drone noise. All right, cool.
So it's like a vibrator.
So you didn't hear that? Ooh, you would know about that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I got excited too, so that says a lot about me.
So I end up calling my daughter out because I'm like, okay, are you seeing what I'm seeing? And you know how sometimes when you're looking at a light and you're kind of moving, the light kind of jiggles around with you?
Sure.
If you're looking at stars and stuff, it's so far away, it doesn't really do that.
Right.
This thing was doing that. Okay. As I'm moving around and stuff, it's kind of like in my eyesight, it's all jumbly as well.
So still a satellite, got it.
So that's what I'm thinking. This has to be some kind of satellite, but it's not moving. So my daughter comes out, she looks at it, she's like, oh yeah, I definitely see that. And she's looking at more and more. She's like, it's definitely not as high up there as other satellites or where the stars are. and it is super bright, and the more she looked at it, the more weirded out she was. When we go out there, when you leave, I'll see if it's still out there again tonight, and you tell me what you think. But if it's not there tonight, then it
probably won't
weird.
be there tonight because you want me to see it.
Aliens, man.
Aliens.
All right, Ghosty, don't play that.
Peace out, butterflies.
This is the EVP Podcast.